Hotel staff of Reddit, how often do you catch people nude in the halls, and what's your best story? Here's a story. Keep in mind, I was a 17-year-old girl while working at this hotel. I've never seen a naked person in the hallway. But once in the lobby, a man at around 3 a.m. sat down on a chair and called his girlfriend. I was on the night shift, and I was sitting down behind a computer screen, so he would have only seen the top of my head if he looked over. But it was Sunday morning, and he was extremely drunk from a wedding. He was wearing a suit, and I was just keeping my eye on him. He then started having raunchy phone sex with his girlfriend or wife, and it was so raunchy. My jaw dropped, and I honestly didn't know what to do. Then a janitor came over, and we were sitting there flabbergasted. He then pulled his dick out and started jerking off. So I got up, walked over and said, "Sir, you're in the lobby." He woke up out of his sexual drunken stupor, and I'll never forget the look of horror that came across his face. He ran to his room so embarrassed. Not my story, but my brother manages a nice hotel that happens to be near a red light district. One day, he gets this tourist who books a double room for a month, ideally as far away from the main entrance as possible. Guest checks in, and starting on the third day, there's this conga line of prostitutes coming in and out of the guy's room. By my brother's own count, the guy's personal record is 16 different women in a day. That's not the crazy part. One day, guest comes to front desk with a woman on each arm and asks my brother if he could book an Uber. Brother obliges and books the guest an Uber. Guest then tips with a prostitute. As in, full-on offers the girl up to him and says, "You want to have a go?" I sincerely hope nobody ever takes a black light to that room. The case of Underwear Man and the mysterious bathroom lady I worked night duty at a hotel 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. On this night in particular, we had a group of Native American construction workers who were excavating a site nearby for fossils. Anyways, in the night shift, you normally don't get anybody coming down except to rummage throughout the market for Oreos and other snacks. Well, around 2 a.m., I see someone standing in the market in just his underwear. For context, the back office is next to the market, but you need a passcode to get through, and we have cameras back there, hence why I was able to see him. So I open the door, and this guy looks completely out of it, like a 1,000-yard stare in just his underwear. Weirdly enough, I don't smell weed or alcohol. He tells me he needs help getting into his room, but there's some crazy lady in there and he's afraid. I ask for some sort of ID to confirm if he's guessed. He tells me his name and other matching information. Sure, enough, he's a guest in room 212. I make a copy of the key and then walk with him. But of course I ask him about the lady because according to our files, there's no one else in the room. He confirms with me that it's just him. He tells me that a while ago he went to get ice in just his underwear. And when he returned to his room, he saw a lady in the bathroom. He tells me that she attacked him and locked him out. Naturally, I'm calling BS on all this, but just in case I got my cell phone ready to call 911. So we take the elevator and then walk over to 212. The guest looks mildly uncomfortable, but I press on. The keycard works, and we get inside. Immediately, I check the bathroom while the guest hasn't even stepped foot in the room. I check everything, and I see no sign that anybody forced themselves in here. The guest looks confused, but shrugs it off. Weirdly enough, that was like a month into the job, and this guest is a regular. I would see him most mornings, and we never acknowledged what happened that night. Never acknowledged that I saw him in his underwear, or that he looked like he was on something. Just every day, "Good morning, Mr. M." And our conversations never went further than that. I used to work security at a large casino resort, and we got a call at around 3 a.m. one night about a naked and frantic woman running down the halls of one of our hotel towers. So we go up there and sure enough find a woman bawling her eyes out, completely nude. We got her a towel from the linen closet so she at least had something to cover up, and then she calmed down to tell us she had met a guy on the casino floor and went up to his room and he attempted to rape her and got all her clothes off and scratched her up pretty good, but she fought like hell and got out of the room. Needless to say, the cops came and the guy was dragged out and justice was served. Oh, he had a black eye when we got him out of the room too. She whooped his ass. Late to the party, but I used to work front desk at a hotel that once a year hosted a swingers convention. We would rent out the top floor rooms to them, and it was a free-for-all. They all kept their doors open and people would just run naked from one room to the next. We had cameras so easy enough to watch all the running around. The problem would come the morning. If they requested a newspaper, we would have to go up and deliver it to their door. Definitely saw many things. The worst thing with this was when we had a long-term person who refused to move rooms when the convention was coming. So in the middle of people running back and forth swapping was a little old priest. We got calls that night from the swingers complaining someone was praying loudly.
Just my own embarrassing story. About 10 years ago, I was staying at a hostel in Copenhagen, and I had forgotten to set my alarm for the morning I had to check out. So I woke up late and really had to pee. So I put my key card in the waistband of my boxers and ran to the hall. Unfortunately, my card had expired, and I was left stranded outside my room in just my boxers. Now this hostel had two buildings, one for the rooms, and next door was the office. My only way to get to the office was to go outside on a very busy street at noon and walk next door. It took 5 seconds, but boy, were those seconds ever long. As soon as I got inside, I started frantically explaining why I was in my boxers to the young woman at the desk. We ended up having a good laugh. All right, I've been waiting for a question like this. I used to work at a hotel in Iowa over summer for an internship. During the night audit shift, I had multiple encounters that were interesting, but one unfamiliar is hilarious. When working the night shift, I was in the back office doing paperwork. We had 10 rooms occupied that night, so fairly dead, and I heard a pound in the front counter. I couldn't see from my desk, but I knew someone was there. So walking out, the friendly neighborhood prostitute that works down the street at the strip club was standing on the front counter dancing, holding a plate of fried chicken. A guy behind her was waiting patiently, looking at me confused. I have seen her before, but never actually talked to her. She usually came in every other night or day for about 2 to 3 hours with a new guy, and then left. When I came out, she was shocked. She goes, "Oh my God, I thought you were the other night shift lady." So clearly the other night shifter just allowed anyone to stand on the counter and dance. But that's not the point. I go, "Would you like a room for the night?" It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and if she paid, she would have to leave at 11 o'clock a.m. Check out. She says, "Yeah, but he's paying." And he took out all his cards and info and paid $170 for the stay. And O gave them their room's keys. So right before they turned around and left, the prostitute, which I figured out her name was Precious, asked me to microwave her fried chicken. And she said she would show me her tits if I heated it up. I politely declined the offer, but still said I could heat it up. I took the chicken and they went up in their room. Literally 20 minutes later, the guy came down and left the hotel. About an hour later, she came down to grab her cold chicken, and I asked her, "Would you like me to heat it up again?" And she goes, "No, I love cold chicken." She sat there and talked to me about how the hotel is ran for like 20 minutes, and then finally went back up to her room. For the rest of the summer, every time I saw her, she called me baby, and she got excited when she saw me. That was the most interesting story I have.